It's showtime, folks. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063, The Game here on this Wednesday. He's Big Joe. I'm Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. And I can tell you right now,
yeah, man,
we are not putting up with it today.
we're not.
We're not.
And I'm telling you, it's dreary outside and it's awful outside. But today's the day you give thanks. You know why? Because it clears out. We're grateful for the beautiful, sunshiny, wonderful, lovely days that we so embrace. So sometimes you got to go through this, and that makes it even more grateful for the beautiful days. So embrace today, my friends. Give thanks in it.
Yes, absolutely. We have a huge show planned. Missouri football coach Eli Drinkwitz scheduled to join us here anytime now in just a few minutes as they get ready for the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. We're going to have him on. We hope to have Kirk Ferentz on as well from Iowa because Joe and I are hosting the official pregame show for the Music City Bowl, so look forward to that. Steven Stamkos going to join us at 9:15. The Predators win last night at Bridgestone Arena. Fun, close game against the New York Rangers. They win 2-0, get the shutout. And then John McClain is going to shift to 10 o'clock, so looking forward to talking to him.
That'd be fun, man. Yeah, it's hard to believe. Also, I know you didn't see it last night, but the bowl season has started. That Frisco Bowl last night,
we were watching some of it.
And Memphis, these bowl games, I know people are like, oh, they're not playing and guys are checking out. They're fun. They're fun to watch, man. Last night's game, Memphis beat West Virginia, but, man, it was crazy down the stretch.
Oh, yeah. The bowl games are definitely fun, including the TransPerfect Music City Bowl that's coming to Nissan Stadium. We will have it here on December the 30th. Head coach of the Missouri Tigers, Eli Drinkwitz, is on the line with us now. Coach, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Congratulations to Memphis. Most wins in school history. What a job Ryan Silverfield's doing, man. So that's awesome for him. I know that the state of Tennessee is celebrating their football right now. Obviously, you got Vandy in a bowl game. You got Tennessee in the playoffs. So what a time to be a football fan in the state of Tennessee.
Oh, it's definitely fun. Gives us something to talk about. But I know you have to be pleased with your Tigers and the season that you all had there and coming to Nashville to play Iowa in the Music City Bowl. And what's funny is we were talking about this last week. This was supposed to be the matchup in 2020.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID had other plans, but now we finally get to see it.
Yeah, isn't it remarkable how the Lord works? And sometimes you get an opportunity to go back and redo something. But I know that 2020 Iowa team, they were tough as nails. So, but this 2024 team defensively is really an elite squad. Offensively, they got some really, really good players. They've been banged up a little bit at quarterback. But Kirk Ferentz does an outstanding job, has been a great head coach for a long time, kind of the standard bearer for consistency in a program. And it'll be a real challenge for us. I'm very excited about the opportunity to be in Nashville. What a great city to stay in the Gaylord hotels and get to play in Nissan Stadium. I mean, when you talk about bowl games, this is one of those destinations that you're really excited about the opportunity.
How do you approach this game? Because obviously things have changed with how it works the last few years. I mean, you're having to focus on practice and everything for this game, but also you're having to look ahead with just had early signing day, the portal, all that stuff that you're having to manage. So what's it kind of like from the head coach's seat getting ready for this thing?
Well, you have to prioritize, and my number one priority is this football team and this senior class. These guys have worked really hard for this opportunity, and I would be in the wrong if I spent my time focusing on next year instead of this year and finishing. And we had a great devotional Sunday about being finishers, and that's really what this team and our coaching staff wants to do. We want to put ourselves in the best position possible to compete versus a really good Iowa team and try to finish the season. And you can't control the outcomes, but you can sure control your daily process. And so that's really been our mindset. Obviously, you got to compartmentalize and spend some time. I just got done with a recruiting breakfast and was walking out the door. That's why I was a little bit late getting to this call. I'm heading to a team meeting at 10. But like I told our team, when we're here, when we're working, our focus is 100% preparing for Iowa and having the will to win that game.
We're talking to Missouri head football coach Eli Drinkwitz on the Chase and Big Joe show. Coach, I'm always fascinated on planning and practicing for a bowl game because you got exams, guys need to go home to see their families, and you got to practice. What's kind of the routine you guys are going to have leading up to the Music City Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's a get-to thing, right? It's an opportunity. You get an opportunity to practice and develop, and football is a game where you get better at practice. So we spent the first part of this week and last week really just working developmental practices. No focus on anything specific. Just, hey, how do we get better? And then after that, we've kind of zoned in on Iowa. We're going to work up until Sunday. We're going to give our guys 3 days to go home for Christmas and celebrate the holidays with their families, which in college football is a really difficult thing to get to do. So I know our guys are excited about that. We'll come back after Christmas, travel to the bowl site, and get ready to play.
This season with you and you guys in the SEC, people talk about just how difficult it is. I mean, you really understand how difficult it is each week. I mean, how easy is it or difficult is it, Coach, during the week to put behind a game on Saturday and then get ready for, an Alabama or a Georgia or a Tennessee coming up? Because I got to think at some point it's got like, oh, my goodness, when does this end?
Yeah, I mean, the reality of the SEC, which is different than every other league, is every team has a game record. And they have multiple players who are going to be NFL draft picks and starters. And so it doesn't matter if a team's, a 5-5 or if they're 10-2, you have to prepare to get their best. And every team's got talent. It's just a matter of when and how they put it together. So it's a challenge. You can't get too high, too low. And the key to it is trying to be consistent in your approach.
Coach Eli Drinkwitz is with us from Missouri. So with this new era of college football with the 12-team playoff, how do you feel like this first year went? As the committee obviously had their job to do to figure out the best 12 teams, and some good teams got left out. But when it comes to the SEC as a whole, I mean, how dominant this conference can be. How do you think it all shook out, and could you see maybe some changes moving forward?
Man, I definitely think there'll be changes. I mean, I think ultimately in the SEC, there's a lot of the teams who controlled their own destiny, and for whatever reason, I mean, this is the deepest league, toughest league in college football, and at the end, we kind of beat ourselves up, which ultimately cost us positions in the playoffs. So I don't think it's a flawed system. It's just this is a really tough conference, and so for us to try to get 4 teams in that league, I mean, I said it before, it's going to take 10 wins to get in the playoffs. And that's really what the committee showed us.
How special has it been being able to coach Luther Burden? Because he's so much fun to watch.
Man, you want to talk about not only is he an extreme talent, ball in his hand competitor, but man, he's a great kid. He is a unbelievable competitor, great work ethic, low maintenance, high output young man. And he's grown into that. He's developed it. He's developed his consistency. And I got to give a lot of credit to our strength staff in developing those daily habits, and to our wide receivers coach, Coach Peeler. But it's been a special 3 years. It's been a really fast 3 years.
Oh, absolutely. Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz is with us. And Coach Rick Stockstill's a friend of the show. And one time he told us about going to bowl games. He said he's never been to a bad bowl game. And that really hit me like, you know what? Yeah. And you talked about a moment ago, Coach, about being appreciative and grateful to having this opportunity to be in a bowl game. What does it mean to your program to get to go to a bowl game?
Yeah, for us, it's the 5th straight bowl game that we've had an opportunity to compete in. And it's a get-to opportunity. You get to play the game one more time. For the seniors, you never know when it's going to be the last time you have an opportunity to play the game. And so you got to cherish that. You don't always get to run out in front of your friends and families and play a game that you work so hard and love. You don't always get to go out and pick. I mean, the TransPerfect Music City Bowl has a great list of gifts for us. You get free gear, meals paid for. You get to go down to Broadway and have fun. It's a heck of a deal. And I have to agree with Coach Stockstill.
Yeah.
I've never been to a bad bowl game. I've been to Mobile. I've been to San Diego. I've been to El Paso. I've been to Shreveport on Christmas. And every one of them was awesome.
I love it. I know you've come to town and played Vanderbilt, but have you ever come here like on your own with your wife and the kids, like during the summer and just time to get away?
Well, there's not much time to get away. I've been here. I've been there several times. And my wife and I have been there. I was actually invited and went to the grand opening of Chiefs, Eric Church's bar. So I've spent some time there, and it's a great place.
Oh, that's awesome.
Coach, you mentioned when we started this, Vanderbilt, you saw them earlier in the year where you guys were able to get it in 2 overtimes in a great football game. Diego Pavia, just defending him. How difficult was that?
Well, Clark Lee is as good a football coach as there is in the country, and has done an excellent job just sticking to the process. I'm so impressed with what he's done and how he's done it consistently there. And obviously, he got the right stuff in Diego. And man, it is a difficult challenge. I tell you what, I think that's when the world realized that Vanderbilt was for real. I mean, we beat them in double overtime. We got dropped in the polls. All right. And then the next week, or a week or two later, they beat Alabama. And I was laughing, saying, all right, well, now everybody realizes this dude is for real. And so I'm not rooting against the guy, but I am rooting against that lawsuit. I'm sure hoping he's not back next year because he's a heck of a player.
That's a very good point. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. We're looking forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks in Nashville. Merry Christmas to you and the family, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate the opportunity, brother.
Absolutely.
MIZ.
Coach Eli Drinkwitz joining us here on the program, head coach of the Missouri Tigers. And again, the TransPerfect Music City Bowl coming up on December 30th at Nissan Stadium. You and I hosting the official pregame show. He's fun.
I absolutely is. And I look at this, he's got an administration around him that's patient, because he went 5 the COVID year. I don't even count that, but 6-7. They went to a bowl game, and then boom, 11-2 and 9-3. He's made Missouri so relevant in football that he's worth every penny, man.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I think you look at that record, 5-3 in the SEC. That's just a product of playing in the SEC.
Oh,
I mean, and just in how difficult it is, especially now with no divisions and the schedule changing. But, he's a guy that if they continue this upward trend, and obviously they're going to lose a lot after this year. Burden's probably going to the NFL. Brady Cook, their quarterback, is going to be done. So we'll kind of see what next year looks like. But we know in today's college football, it's year to year. If he continues building this up, I mean, his name's going to be mentioned for many, many jobs out there, but he seems to be very happy at Missouri.
I thought he'd left after last year. You know what he makes a year?
$9
million.
Yeah.
Look, as long as you're winning and your family's happy, stay where you are.
We're moving fast and furious to start today. We got a lot that we're going to get into. The Predators win last night 2-0 at Bridgestone Arena against the New York Rangers and former head coach Peter Laviolette. Steven Stamkos going to join us coming up next here on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game on this Wednesday. Predators, this song played twice last night, and it felt real good. Get the 2-0 win over the New York Rangers last night. Let's bring in the man that had the primary assists on both goals, Steven Stamkos, who's on the line with us. Steven, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. Nice one last night. I know it was a tough one, a hard-fought victory, but 2-0, you guys get the shutout. I want to start with Adam Wilsby's goal. That you had the primary assist on that. That was pretty. That kid, that was what a shot.
Yeah, it's actually funny because he scored the other night in Dallas on a pretty similar play where he, kind of made a great move coming into the zone and went top shelf and celebrated what he thought was his first goal, and then to get that called back on the offside was disappointing. So for him to score, arguably an even nicer goal as his first in the NHL was kind of ironic, but we were all really excited. It was a big goal for us in the game, and glad he could do it in a win.
You guys have obviously been dealing with some injuries when it comes to the defense. I mean, how big has it been for young guys like him to step up? Because I really think they've done a nice job.
Yeah, they have, and as a young guy, that's all you can ask for sometimes is an opportunity, and then it's up to you with what you do with those extra minutes. And they've been great. Obviously, we've lost three really good defensemen, on the back end, and it's been a struggle for us, but those guys have stepped up and have played great, and I think a lot of those guys are giving themselves a chance to be up here the rest of the year, regardless of who's in the lineup. So it's a good problem to have when you have, multiple options on the back end, and that bodes well for us going forward.
I don't know how you look at things, but I typically try with a 82-game season and kind of try and look at it in 3-game segments. You guys have won 2 out of your last 3. The Dallas game, I thought obviously you had to be happy with that. Good parts against Colorado got away from you, and then last night getting the win. So how would you kind of look at how you guys are playing as a whole over the course of the last 3 games?
Yeah, I think it's getting better. Obviously, you don't dwell on what's happened, kind of the first 20 games. Like you said, you kind of break it down into little 3 to 5 game segments, and we won, 2 of the last 3. I think Colorado could have went a different way as well. We had a couple breakdowns that ended up in the back of our net, but we're generating a lot more scoring chances than we were in the past. The pucks are going to find the net eventually if we keep continuing that. And like we just talked about, the young defensemen have played well, but, it's tough to replace a Roman Josi or a Carrier or Lauzon. I mean, those guys are established NHL defensemen that are going to help us whenever they get back healthy and into the lineup. So, we got Juice back there. As you saw last night, can really, just be a calming presence for us. And we just have to find a way to keep clawing. We got a few games here before the Christmas break, and we want to make sure that we're establishing home ice as a tough place to play.
We're talking to Steven Stamkos from the Chasing Big Joe show. Steven, you might not know this, but between the 3 of us, we have 555 goals in the NHL. Isn't that crazy? That's amazing, isn't it? Do you remember your first goal?
Oh, of course. I think everyone remembers their first goal. Mine was a long, a long time ago, back in 2008 in Buffalo. It was a tip in, so it probably wasn't the prettiest of goals that I've scored over my career, but one of the biggest for sure. And like I said, that's something you dream of as a kid and as a young hockey player, scoring your first goal in the NHL. And you remember it like it was yesterday.
I love it. And I was reading about you through your career in the NHL about how when guys score their first goal and young guys come up, how you kind of talk to them and kind of mentor them a little bit. Is that fun doing that? Because I think that would be fun to kind of say, like, look for this, look for that. Here's what to expect and all that. Do you enjoy doing that?
Well, for sure. I mean, you want to help out the young guys when they get in the league. It can be sometimes intimidating, nerve-wracking, anxious. I mean, all the things that come with being a professional athlete, especially when it's, your first game or first season in the NHL. That's where you rely on some of the older guys to help just guide you through there. I mean, we're not holding anyone's hand and telling them what to do. They've made it to this level for a reason because of a certain skill set that they bring. And sometimes it can be hard. And this year's been hard for all of us. So if you can help, any young player, just like the older guys helped me when I came in the league, it's part of the process, and it's something that I think they appreciate. I know I really did when the veteran guys would talk to me and help me in my first year. So it's something that I enjoy doing.
I love it. I think it's so cool. We're the positive show, by the way, Steven. So we're with you on all this. Here's another crazy question. When you got your first big NHL check, who was the first person you called?
Well, I don't know, to be honest, if I necessarily called anybody, but as I was 18 years old, and you're getting a lot of money at a young age, and I was pretty fortunate to have parents that were really kind of instilled that mentality of being humble and just being appreciative of everything that you're going to get in your career. And my dad has really helped me still to this day when it comes to the financial aspect. He's really into that and is really good at doing that. So I've been fortunate. Not everyone is as fortunate, and sometimes that money can it comes in quick and it can go out quick too. So you have to be smart with it. And like I said, I was fortunate to be surrounded by a group of people that helped me. But still, it's still pretty cool as a young kid to get a big check like that. And you almost just stare at it in your bank account,
Right.
Not thinking it's real. But it's certainly part of all the hard work that you've done in your life, and the dedication and that, and you've earned it, and it's kind of cool.
I'll tell you, at 18, I was still stealing money of my mother's purse. So
Yeah.
we have, there's a 180, you and I. All right. So tomorrow night, Pittsburgh comes into town. How do we keep this momentum going tomorrow night? Because you guys got a little momentum now.
Yeah. Well, I just, I'm seeing more consistent play, systematically, and, we've done some line kind of shuffling, and it seems like we've settled in something that's worked more consistently for the last 3-4 games for our group. So just continue that. And like I said, we got a few games here left before the break, and we want to take advantage. I mean, it's a really long season, and there's a lot of hockey left. So if we can get into that feeling good about ourselves, then I like our chances.
Do you feel like you've settled in kind of there at center ice with Forsberg and Marchessault?
For sure. I think, making that move from the wing back to center, where, I haven't really played a lot of in recent years, but certainly the place I feel comfortable with. I think just, that last 4 games, like I mentioned, where our lines played together, you can feel the chemistry growing. For me personally, just being in the middle of the ice and being able to utilize some speed, skating the puck up through the neutral zone, and just, those 2 guys are very offensively gifted, and you want to get them the puck in certain areas. And I've really liked their game, and I think it's just going to continue to get better.
Do you think, I've talked to some of the other guys about this, do you think that kind of looking now as you're at this point, December in the season, that, you obviously had only played in one place, you're coming here, you had Marchessault that was coming here, and a lot of new pieces, that maybe that transition took a little bit longer than anybody thought it was going to, and now we're just starting to kind of see it all come into place?
Well, you certainly hope so. I mean, yeah, it's tough. No one knows what to expect when you're making a transition like that, and we all hope that it happens early and things go great at the beginning, but they didn't. It took some time, and obviously we didn't get off to the start that you wanted, and it kind of snowballs from there. But it gets to a certain point where you just go out there and play and do what made you successful in the past, no matter where you were. And I think we've had that mentality here a little bit lately. Like I said, we've changed a few things up that have seemed to be working, and hopefully we can continue that.
Yeah, for sure. Steven, thanks so much for doing this today. Congrats on the win last night, and let's keep it going against Pittsburgh.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Steven Stamkos, Predators forward, joining us here on the program, and appreciate him for taking the time. They won 2-0 last night against former head coach Peter Laviolette and the New York Rangers, and the Pittsburgh Penguins come to town tomorrow night. Pregame at 6, puck drop at 7 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All right, coming up, there is a thing, I want to get your thoughts on this, where college coaches, football coaches, are doing something to save their job. And I want your reaction to this because
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm all on board with this.
Okay, we'll do that. And also, John McClain usually joins us at 9:30. He'll be at 10 o'clock today here on the Chasing Big Joe show, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
this your coat?
Don't do it.
That guy in a little coat. That guy in a little coat.
Don't.
That guy in a little coat. That guy in a little coat. Richard, what's happening?
December 18th, 1997. Chris Farley passed away. 27
forget it.
years ago, is that right?
27 years ago.
Jeez.
What were you, 9, 10?
It was 10, yeah.
I'll never forget. I got the phone call. I was like, what? And then you realize the life he led. It's like, why didn't this not happen a couple years earlier?
So, you know what was funny? Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Obviously, I didn't know how big of a deal he was at that point at 10 years old. Whether this was a good thing or not, I had seen the movie Black Sheep at that point, so I knew who he was. I don't think I had seen anything else at that point, but so I knew like, oh, hey, that's the guy from that movie, like the funny guy, the big guy, or whatever. But then you think about like John Candy was in Home Alone, and John Candy was in was it Blank Check? I think he was in some kid movies and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy. And just the impact that those guys had, and then, they passed away at such a young age. It was just like dang, as I got older, kind of learning more, and obviously, but didn't Farley say like he want like
John Belushi
and John Candy, like those guys were like his heroes?
Well, Belushi was. They died at the same age at 33, and they both just lived life to the fullest. But he's Obi-Wan. He has grown bigger.
Oh yeah.
After he passed away than anything else. And the Adam Sandler tribute to him, that song, which I've heard 1,000 times, which I cry 1,000 times because it's about any of us and our friends and our buddies. And man, it's just, I mean, that impact was like 5 years, was like 90 to 95. Mm-hmm. And what would he have been had he lived? Who knows? Maybe guys like that aren't meant to live. Like Candy died early, Belushi died early, he died early. We don't know how the impact they would have had, but for the time that we had with them, I mean, from the Patrick Swayze skit to Tommy Boy to on and on and on, man, it's unbelievable. So 27 years ago, and I'm telling you right now, the way he lived, the way he died, the pictures of him after he died, there have to be people who said, you know what, I'm not doing drugs anymore. There have to be.
Oh yeah.
Because once you see those pictures, if you could still do drugs after that, I don't know what could save you, man. Just awful, awful, awful. But yeah, 27 years ago. But I think it's something everybody saw happening. And I never met him. I never saw him. We all just laugh because he made us laugh. And that was the endearing thing with him, is that he just made us laugh. And we use his clips all the time on the show, which is even better for that. So, all right, Chase, here's your opinion. I need your thoughts on this.
All right.
There's a new trend in developing in college football, big time. College coaches are beginning to donate portions of their salaries back to their athletic department in an effort to boost roster construction efforts. Brian Kelly became the first high-profile example when he gave $1 million back to the Tiger Athletic Foundation's Excellence Fund. Then, Florida State coach Mike Norvell made an even larger commitment earlier this week following the Noles 2-10 season. He is set to give back nearly $5 million in a gift that would help launch FSU's Vision of Excellence initiative. Question: are they doing that because they care? Are they doing that because they're trying to save their ass? Because these two coaches are on the hot seat. What say you, Chase McCabe?
Ooh, it's a slippery slope. But how many times have we said slippery slope when it comes to college athletics lately? I mean, yeah. Look, I mean, I saw did you see the story on Travis Hunter? That he didn't get he wasn't getting a dime from Colorado's NIL fund, and he actually put some money into it to help his teammates out because he was getting it elsewhere. I mean, that's just kind of where we are.
But I'm talking about coaches.
Yeah, no, I know.
Saving their tails. Or is it genuine? Or are they trying to sell? Because I think in this case with these two guys, trying to save their tail.
It was Norvell, and who was the other one?
Brian Kelly. You don't see Heupel doing this.
Okay. Norvell, I'm not sure. Brian Kelly, it's always CYA. Like I don't think there's a genuine bone in that man's body. I mean, yeah. So I would say it's CYA.
All right, because you don't see anybody else. I mean, I don't see, at least I haven't heard like a James Franklin or
Yeah,
Mark
well, I mean, but
Freeman
look,
at Notre
I mean,
Dame.
would you be shocked if James Franklin was? I mean,
Yes, because it's all about him.
no,
He
but
do no
here
wrong.
now. All right, so here's where things get interesting. So let's say for a second, so this is the NIL fund or what is it they're putting in?
Yeah, back to the collective.
Yeah, the collective. What's going to stop Coach A? I'm not going to put a name on it, but Coach A got this fund, and they're like, Coach, this is what we got in the fund. All right, cool. Well, there's this star receiver down in Birmingham that we really, really want, and if we take this much out of the fund, we're not going to be able to go get this guy and all this stuff. How much is it? He wants $3 million. I got it. I'll put it in there. What's to stop that from happening?
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, it's CYA in this situation, but I mean, all these we just talked about it. Eli Drinkwitz makes $9 million a year. These coaches are not going broke by any means. So what's to stop them from and I don't know all the rules. I don't know, like, can they directly just, cut a check or, how does this work?
Well, at Rex Road, Norvell was a forced pay cut. The school did it. According to this story in FSU, Mike Norvell is restructuring his contract in the hills of a disastrous campaign. It includes a massive contribution from the head coach to help launch fundraising efforts at FSU. Now,
so I wonder if that was like the settlement of like, yeah, I'll take a pay cut, but you're going to put it here, which ultimately benefits him.
Yeah, right. So I see what Joe's saying.
Yeah, I do too.
At the same time, they've worded it where it's like, hey, man, this guy's giving it back and he really cares about us.
Right.
So it's not genuine.
No.
So it's not
and look, honestly, from his standpoint, that's kind of genius. If like, okay, yeah, if you're going to punish me because we had a bad year and you're going to force me to take a pay cut, but you want to take a piece of my salary, all right, put it back in the NIL fund, which helps the school, which also helps him.
Here's a quote from Norvell. I presented this to our administration in an effort to boost the support of our student athletes while recognizing that the results and expectations need to be upheld to the highest level. I wanted to be proactive in my financial assistance through this time of transition as we all push forward to get back to the standard of Florida State football. So, yeah, it's not genuine. Had he gone 10-2 and been in the playoffs, he ain't giving a dime back. They're not giving any money back. We see right, and you're right with Brian Kelly. We see right through you. Right through you, Brian Kelly. And I don't know a single LSU fan who likes him. And I know several. They don't like him.
It's funny. And maybe we need to reach out to Caroline on this because she could speak on this. But like I look back at them, Ed Orgeron was the perfect coach for LSU. Was he the best coach? Absolutely not. Did he kind of luck it? It's better to be lucky than good.
There you go, baby. You're right.
Did he kind of luck into 2019? You get Joe Burrow, you have Joe Brady, like you put the right pieces together. Obviously he had a lot to do with that, but he won a national championship and then a few years later he was gone. And I know there's some other stuff that, with all that, but it was like, if you look at LSU and it's like, draw me the perfect coach for the LSU Tigers. Is it not Ed Orgeron?
It is, but he was his welcome.
I know he did, but like now you bring in this bozo that nobody has ever liked. Like, like I'd love to ask Notre Dame fans, did you ever like Brian Kelly? I know Cincinnati fans that didn't like him, couldn't stand him. I mean, he's been that kind of guy. And now that's who you got at LSU. And guess what he hasn't done at LSU?
You're right.
He hasn't won.
You're right. He hasn't won at all. And so that's the thing. And, they're going to get tired of that. He won his welcome. I'm surprised he was at Notre Dame as long as he was. But,
noise.
Huh?
Was that your computer?
It was my computer.
Oh, okay.
But we turned it off there. We're all good now. But I just think that, at some point, and, you can maybe ride out with them and lower the overall, payout you got to do with it. Maybe turns it around. I don't know. And, we always like fire, and that's, who knows with that being said, but this is not genuine to me because these only coaches are giving back because they're on the hot seat. And that's why. And you don't see the coaches that are, you don't see Dan Lanning doing this. You don't see, Kirby doing all that because they don't have to, because they know their job is secure.
No, but like, I do wonder if at some point they're going to look at this and go, oh, but we could do that if it means I'm going to be able to get a certain player.
Yeah.
Like, not because there's no salary cap or anything like this. Not that I think any of these funds are going to be short, because we all know that the big boy schools have the boosters, and then they have the booster that is the one that when you want to fire the coach, you go to him and he cuts the check.
Yeah.
He's also going to be the one that, hey, this 5-star over here that we need, $2 million more dollars. Be like, I got you. Bring that boy to school.
That's
Let's
why
go.
the Yellowwood guy, when I found out he was the guy at Auburn,
Yeah.
blew my mind.
Is he the guy that was in all the commercials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellowwood. I mean, when I found out that he had so much money and was calling all the shots at Auburn, probably 98% of them, because I know coaches on that staff when Terry Bowden took over down there in 93 and left in 98 because he fell out of favor with Yellowwood guy and a few other things. But those are those guys. Every school has those. And then the quarterback that flipped from LSU to Michigan because the richest man in the world, his girlfriend's a Michigan fan or whatever it is, and $10 million through that. What a time to be alive, man.
Who was it? Was it T. Boone Pickens that was the Oklahoma State guy?
God, he had so much money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could carry.
He was an oil man, right?
He could carry a wallet around with $1 billion and lose it and not be affected.
Yeah.
We find $20 in our pants pocket, and it's like, you want to go to lunch? We're so excited.
$20 is $20.
Yeah, it is. Right?
Very interesting for sure. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. John McClain going to join us at the top of the next hour. We got more coming here on Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
35 years old. I am divorced, and I live in a van down by the river. Now, you kids are probably saying to yourselves, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get the world by the tail and wrap it around and pull it down and put it in my pocket. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably going to find out as you go out there that you're not going to amount to jack squat.
Matt Foley.
Never not funny. Man.
Oh, here's my Chasing Big Joe 1025 1063 the game. Here is my favorite excuse me, my
Good,
favorite
right.
part about that entire skit, because it's David Spade and Christina Applegate that are in it as well. Spade can't hold it together.
Right.
Like during the whole thing, David Spade's supposed to be like the kid sitting there on the couch, and he can't hold it together because Farley's just going all over the place. And didn't I read that most of that was just, they kind of told him what in general they wanted, but just let him go?
Yep, it was. And Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul, created the character because it was somebody, maybe a priest or somebody that he knew or that made him laugh was like that. And so that character took off. I mean, come on, that's 30 years. It's funny now as it was back then 30 years ago. I remember that night.
So good.
It's like 92 or 93, right in that era when it happened. And Phil Hartman's the dad in that skit. And
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Just on and on, man. Good stuff with all that.
Phil Hartman, another one. That was 97 was a rough year.
It was a rough year
for
I think he
comics.
passed in 90
or 90, maybe he was 98.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they were close together.
Yeah. It was awful, man. Just awful. And that the way Phil Hartman died and all that was terrible.
So we don't talk politics on this show. This is we're going to tiptoe to it for a second, but you'll understand why. A lot of people are being appointed to different positions as there's a transition in this country when it comes to leadership. A ambassador to the Bahamas has been named by the incoming president. That is former running back Herschel Walker is going to be the ambassador to the Bahamas. And my question for you, Joe, is where would you like to be the ambassador? Because I see all these people getting chosen to go to these interesting places to be the ambassador. I don't really know what he is supposed to do.
Ambassador things
as the ambassador of the Bahamas, but does it mean he gets to go just chill in the Bahamas?
I think so. I mean, there are
worse things to do.
I mean, I would want to be one of those Caribbean islands like Curacao or St. Bart's, or they all get ambassadors, right? So why not? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's taking Bill Bates with him. Do you know the story?
No.
So in 1980, he's a freshman and Georgia's playing in Tennessee, and Tennessee's about to win. It's year Georgia wins the national championship. And they just give the ball to Herschel on just a basic sweep. And he meets Bill Bates at the goal line, and he absolutely destroys Bill Bates. And I think it might be Larry Munson, like, my God.
Yeah.
One of those, like, Bill Bates. I mean, he just sent Bill Bates flying. So
I asked Kurt Page one time, because Kurt was the quarterback at Vanderbilt in the around that time.
Uh-huh.
And I said, is there a guy that you played against that you just, like, the first time you saw him, you just knew like there was something different. He was built different. And without thinking, without hesitation, he said Herschel.
It's amazing.
Like, Herschel was that guy.
And it's sad because you're like, well, what did he do in the pros? I hate when they do that. Like, he had decent.
He was part of the biggest trade.
Yeah,
in
he had a
NFL
decent
history.
career in the pros, but I'm telling you, him and Bo Jackson, I don't think we'll ever see that again. I mean, Herschel was at Georgia 80 to 82. Bo was at Auburn 82 to 85. And I'm serious. I don't think we'll ever see that type of running back again. The size, the strength, you couldn't bring him down. They outran your fastest DB. And these guys are 6'1", 6'2", 230. And it was in the early 80s. And I don't think we've even come close to seeing something like that since then, even in college football.
Like, when you talk about just like a built different, generational type talent.
Yeah.
I think Travis Hunter might be that. Maybe not to the same scale as a Herschel Walker or Bo Jackson, but I mean, he's pretty special.
And somebody's like, well, he had an average year as a DB. They threw away from him.
Right. Yeah, they didn't throw.
Well,
him.
average year as a receiver. We had coordinators talk about, defensive coordinators said, we triple teamed him. He's not going to beat us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your numbers are going to be, when guys are doing that, your numbers are going to be slightly off. He was more deserving. I'm telling you, you put Dylan Sampson and that Boise State team, he gives you the same numbers. Same numbers.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great running back. Genty, that's fine, but no way do you deserve
So
it more.
he didn't have a great year as a receiver. He's a DB,
right?
Technically, he didn't. 92 catches, 1,100 yards, and 14 touchdowns.
I
Yeah,
think
that's pretty. It's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
That's pretty crappy as a receiver,
right? And that's going both ways. I mean, it's a guy that could get it done. People like to yelp to yelp.
And then defensively, 21 solo tackles. He had 4 picks.
Not bad. But you're cornerback. You're not supposed to lead the team in tackling.
No.
I don't want you in the top 10 in tackling.
No.
I want you in that top
But
1.
I mean, he has 7 picks in his 2 years at Colorado.
I'm not throwing that way. Would you throw that way? I'm not. The guy is shown he can intercept any ball that comes anywhere near him. I'm not doing that.
I mean, it's funny. Like, people will talk. I'll talk to people and be like, who does he remind you of? I'm like, his coach.
Yeah, a lot of way. Except Deion did not like to tackle.
No.
Travis Hunter likes to tackle.
No. And I think Travis is a better receiver than Deion was. I mean, Deion was a DB, but I know Deion had, those offensive skills.
Right.
For sure. But return-wise, I don't know. I mean, Deion was one of the best return guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember when my defensive line coach at Samford played with Deion at Florida State, and we were talking. I'll never forget this. He said, Deion in the 40 ran an unofficial 4.19. And I'm like, unofficial? I mean, that's still, even if it's official, what do you have, 4.25 or something? And you realize the speed. And I was like, what's that like? He's like, he's just so fast that it's kind of hard to really comprehend how fast he is during a game or in practice or returning and all that. And so, plus Deion's got one of the best lines of all time to Andrea Kramer when the Falcons drafted him. He said, remember he's on the couch.
You're going to put me on layaway. This is awesome.
Well, that's one of the best lines ever. So, yeah, I mean, those guys are generational, man, and they few and far between, especially the running backs and guys like Deion and all that. But I think Travis Hunter is definitely up there in that.
Didn't he have in one game? Didn't he have a pick six, returned a kick or a punt for a touchdown, and had a receiving touchdown?
Was it the Clemson game in '88 that Deion had that?
I thought it was in the NFL. He did it.
There was a game in college he did something like that. He returned NFL. I don't know, maybe the Falcons. He had that. I don't know.
Maybe. I obviously loved him when he played for the Braves too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's the reason the Chop came to Atlanta.
So Tim McCarver loved him too. One of my favorite Deion punt returns was maybe the last game of the year in '89 or '90 at Fulton County Stadium. He ran a punt return back for a touchdown. He ran through like 50 guys, and about the 25, he started high stepping, and he put the hand behind his helmet. And about the 5, he did the dance into the end zone. I was like, just go for it, man. That's so great. But a lot of people don't like him. And I see both sides, man. But he's proved himself as a coach, and he more than proved himself as a player.
Hair Metal Henry said he wants to be the ambassador to the Playboy Mansion. So,
well, get on that right there. You do all that.
Sounds about right.
Where would you want to be?
I mean, somewhere warm. I wouldn't care. Just send me somewhere warm, tropical.
What about South Korea?
I'm good. I'm good there. I'll politely say no to that.
I know where Dr. Crane wants. Italy, baby.
Yes, sir.
Or is Sicily? You want to go there?
Any place in Italy. I mean, I would live there as a homeless man. I would not mind.
Okay.
I really wouldn't. I mean, you get $3 pizza.
Amsterdam. I'll do Amsterdam.
I mean, come on.
What about Vatican City? Although it's typically its own country.
Correct.
It's still in Italy.
Yeah, I think they still use whatchamacallit.
The Swiss Army?
Yeah, thank you.
Swiss Army.
Like the cheese.
Yeah, the Swiss Army.
Yeah.
Guards the Pope and all that. Yeah.
Like the knife, the Swiss knife. There you go.
We need a history teacher to come in here, world history, just one day and get us up to par on things.
I know a guy.
Okay, I bet you do.
I'll pass on that. That's fine. Coming up next, we'll talk to John McClain. We'll get into the NFL with him. That's all up next here on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game on this Wednesday. Fast and furious today. And now we move and say hello to our man, John McClain. HoustonTexans.com is where you can find his work. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I was covering the Texans on Sunday, and I follow the Titans, and I look up, and it's 7-0 Titans. I'm like, wow, that's a good start. Then it's 14-7 Titans going into the second quarter, and I'm like, wow, they're playing like they played against the Texans. And then I didn't look back for a while, and I'm sorry I did.
Yeah, well, 6 turnovers, I think it was. That'll do it for you. Looks like we'll find out for sure today, but all reports are Mason Rudolph will take the starting job at quarterback for the Titans. Will Levis was benched during the aforementioned game last week. What do you make of that move? And Floyd used to always say, when you make that move, there's no going back. I'm wondering if there is going back at all for the Titans, if they are in fact going to make a quarterback change.
I would not think that they can go back to Levis unless Rudolph gets hurt, or unless he has a game where he's like throws 5 interceptions and they get blown out this late in the season. You make a change like that because you have to be true to your players, your team, the defense, the other players. Levis is just he's like a roller coaster, and most of the time that roller coaster's down. And that performance against the Bengals, who do not have a good defense this season, was atrocious. And so I'm sure they're going to make that move. They'll go with Rudolph the rest of the season, and you better hope they keep losing, that they lose all 3 because they want to get the highest pick possible. And I'm guessing they'll be in the Sam Darnold sweepstakes if he becomes unrestricted free agent, as everybody thinks, because it's be unlikely that Minnesota would give him the kind of contract he could get on the open market. He has increased his value. You talk about great timing with so many teams needing quarterbacks. And one of the things they have to decide when evaluating Darnold, is he great this season because he's turned a corner in his career and he's playing with great offensive players, a great defense, a staff, everything fits him perfectly? Or is he playing great more so because of those things, because of the system and the talent with 2 great receivers? And so sometimes the buyer has to beware, but somebody's going to pay him a lot of money. And they could franchise him and keep him another year for about $40 million, and maybe they would do that. It would be kind of cold, but they got to do what's best for them. And other than that, you got to hope there's a quarterback out there. And if you're not going to get, say, Shedeur Sanders, who looks like he'll be the top pick, that Cam Ward would be good enough, or somebody would emerge like 2 years ago when nobody paid any attention to Anthony Richardson till he got to the combine and put on an incredible show and then got overdrafted at 4th overall, or do like Bo Nix last year. If people go back and read all the scouting reports on Nix, there's a lot of people going to have egg on their face because they were shooting him down, didn't have the kind of arm, 2nd-round pick, and then now he's doing great. So there are ways to get a quarterback, and that has got to be their sole goal until they get that settled, just like the Raiders and the Giants and everybody else needs a quarterback. They're just going to be spinning their wheels.
Yeah, and the thing on Darnold, because I'm with you, I think everybody that needs a quarterback is going to be in on him. But if you're Minnesota, do you stick to the plan and go McCarthy because he's younger and he's the future, or do you change course, pay the money, to Sam Darnold because he and Kevin O'Connell obviously have something going on. I think a lot of that has to do with the system, and that, when Darnold got to San Francisco as the backup, with Shanahan, we saw him like, hey, he looks like there's something there that was good for him. That clearly, the same system is kind of being run there in Minnesota. So could it work to just keep it together and keep that going? Or do you think they actually would let him hit the open market and then he end up somewhere else?
And I think it depends on what they think about McCarthy. Now, you can, when you're on IR like that, I read a thing the other day that everything Darnold does, he's got a thing attached to his helmet. He can be in meetings, but he can't be on the practice field. Everything he's recording, so McCarthy can see it from the same perspective that Darnold sees it. Now, Sam Darnold, they got him for $5 million. And then they got McCarthy for his rookie quarterback contract. So if you are going to give Sam Darnold $50 million a year, and somebody will, they might even give him 60, considering the price of business has gone up because there's nothing like competition to drive up the price, then you got to have a lot of confidence in J.J. McCarthy, because if you take a step back, you're going to get killed by the fans, the media, everybody. And if McCarthy struggles, my goodness, think of the criticism on him for not being Sam Darnold. I can't imagine Darnold would agree to like a 2 or 3 year contract, and they tell McCarthy, okay, you're going to sit 3 years like Aaron Rodgers did. You're going to sit like Brett Favre did. And he wouldn't like that, and they can force him to do it, or they could possibly trade McCarthy to a team that had him highly rated and put their future in Darnold's hands. But they got some tough decisions to make. But boy, the fallout could be that Darnold becomes one of the most appealing free agents in NFL history based on the kind of season he has and could be on the market.
We're talking to John McClain on the Chase and Big Joe show. And John, I'm looking, if Sam Darnold or a quarterback of that status, hits the open market, and you've covered a long enough time, though, at the end of the day, it's about money. But why would you want to come to Tennessee? I mean, there are really no foundational pieces in place to propel your career. I'm just beyond money. What's the reason for coming here?
Why do players play? They play for money.
Right.
It's always about the money. Now, if it was a tie, why would he go to the Raiders? The Raiders are probably going to have a new coach. Why would you go to the Raiders and play the division? 3 coaches go to the Hall of Fame. The 3 quarterbacks they have, that is a tough situation. Would you want to go to the Giants and get into that cesspool up there with the Giants, who are lacking a lot of talent? Would you want to replace Aaron Rodgers with the Jets? I don't think so. I can't. There's other teams that need quarterbacks. But right now, the Giants and the Raiders are 1 and 2, and they're both in sad situation. Give me the Titans any day of the week.
Oh, I totally agree with your point there. John, can Dan Campbell coach his way out of the National Football League? That decision on the onside kick on Sunday with 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter was one of the dumbest things I think I've ever seen from a head coach. He's got to stop doing this, right, at some point?
Well, it's not going to cost him his job because they're winning. But, yes, he needs somebody up in the press box that says, no, Dan, no, you do not kick an onside kick here. That'd be like going to the line of scrimmage and announcing that you're going to pass or run. And he said later he did it because he thought they could make it. He needs to be protected from himself. He's had some dumbass decisions that he made in the playoffs last year. If one could keep them from the Super Bowl or cost them the Super Bowl, sometimes you just got to get a grip on it, especially when your defense isn't going to bail you out. You got to be smarter. You can't be Dan Campbell all the time. You got to be Dan Campbell. Have a great offense, great passing game. The running game without David Montgomery is still good. Offensive line is good. You don't need to take those kind of chances. Now, that being said, boy, I would love for that to be a Super Bowl preview and see the Lions and the Bills and their long-suffering fans having another game like that, minus the onside kick, of course. But Campbell, because they're winning, and he's turned around one of the worst franchises in history because everybody loves Dan Campbell, big old galoot, just a good guy. He doesn't get as much criticism as other coaches would, but man, oh man, if it keeps him out of the Super Bowl or costs him the Super Bowl, he's going to hear it more than any time that he envisioned.
We'll have more with John McClain from Houston coming up next here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chasing Big Joe, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Continuing our conversation with John McClain, HoustonTexans.com is where you can find his work. John, the rumor mill is in full force, as it usually is this time of year. The New York Jets trying to find a new GM, trying to find a new head coach, and a couple of former Titans have been linked. John Robinson supposedly interviewing for the GM job, and Mike Vrabel's name has been out there as potentially being at the top of their list. I'm rooting for a J-Rob and Vrabel reunion. I doubt that's actually going to happen, but is Vrabel going to be the most sought-after coach now that Belichick's off the market?
I believe Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, who's turned down offers the last 2 years, will be the assistant coach who's the most sought after, and Vrabel will be the most sought after former head coach. I can't imagine Mike would want to get involved in that organization. He's not desperate. He's going to have other offers. There's talk about Tom Brady recommending him to Mark Davis to come take over the Raiders. And problem Mike would run into in New York, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers has played a lot better lately. And, I'm guessing Woody Johnson, if you were going there and you said, I don't want Aaron Rodgers, I don't think you'd do it. I think you would have to take him because the owner, Woody Johnson, loves him, paying him a lot of money, even though early in the season, according to reports, he wanted to bench him. But if John Robinson, the jobs are so hard for general managers to get another one. And when you look at John's record with the Titans and some things he did, and you're looking at that resume, it's pretty impressive. He worked for Jason Light. Both of them worked under Belichick with New England. You look at their former general managers, those are two of the most successful who worked with Belichick. It's funny how former head coaches who came up under Belichick don't do well. Bill O'Brien did the best, but he did not grow up in that organization. But general managers like Jason Light and John Robinson did very well. So I think Vrabel, there's talk about him going to the Cowboys. They go from Mike McCarthy offense. They might want to go to defense. Now there's noise about McCarthy coming back. I don't think anybody in Dallas would be excited about that. If Jacksonville fires Doug Peterson, there's no pressure on a job in Jacksonville. I don't think they'd get Mike's sense of humor, but, he does have a quarterback in place. And if I'm Mike, he wants a running back. If I were him and I didn't have one, I'd want to be in a position to get Ashton Jeanty from Boise State, who is probably going to break Barry Sanders' record for rushing in a season. He is fantastic in every way. And or he might want to already know he's got the quarterback in place. And we don't know what Mike thinks about Trevor Lawrence. He coached against him. Maybe he loves him. Maybe he doesn't.
Speaking of former GMs and everything, and I think he's rumored to or has interviewed for the Jets job. Thomas Dimitroff is somebody that if anyone was going to get a second opportunity, I think it could be him. He had a pretty good tenure with the Falcons, and obviously they blew it up in 2020 when they let Dan Quinn go as well. Is he somebody that you could see if anybody's going to get a second opportunity, maybe it's him?
Dimitroff's been out of football so long, I think it's harder for him. Now, a lot of it depends on the impression you make, of course, and the Jets do have some talent. Their defense was great, and they fired Saleh with a 2-3 record, and all of a sudden, defense goes down the toilet. And Saleh obviously had more to do with the defense than he acted like he did. So they do have some talent, but man, you get up there with Rodgers and he tells you he's going to go to the darkness during the mini camp. You think Vrabel would put up with something like that? I don't see it. Now they got a good running back in Breece Hall. They got a lot of pieces on their defense, and Mike, I think he can spar with anybody when it comes to going at it with the media. He did a good job of it here, there. He could do it in New York. He spent all those years in New England. But I'd be surprised if Dimitrov, who's had other interviews, gets that job. But they are the Jets. I would think John Robinson would have a better chance than Thomas Dimitrov. Just mainly it's because I know John. I don't know Dimitrov. But the longer you're out of something, the harder it is to get back. And also, it's so funny to me. There's a report they're going to interview Louis Riddick. You know, Louis Riddick was in pro department, but he sounds great on ESPN. So there's owners that watch him and go, boy, he sounds knowledgeable. That's how Matt Millen got hired by Detroit.
Yeah, right. We remember that great Matt Millen reign in Detroit. John, real quick, are the Buffalo Bills going to break our heart again? Because I don't think there's a team in NFL playing better than them right now.
I'd love to see them go back to the Super Bowl for the fifth time. I'd love to see Buffalo and Detroit make it a rematch. I'm not excited about Philadelphia and Kansas City. Maybe they'll flip the switch and get on a roll. You know, they're certainly better than they were last year, even though they've been winning lucky. They lost 6 games last season, then they won the Super Bowl. But I'd love to see a rematch of that game we saw Sunday. It was exciting in 2 fan bases. There's not many other in Cleveland that would deserve to go to a Super Bowl more than Detroit and Buffalo.
Yep. Good. Interesting for sure. John, appreciate you as always. Have a Merry Christmas. I know we're going to move some things around next week, but with the holiday, but always enjoy it.
Guys, thank you very much, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you.
John McClain joining us. HoustonTexans.com is where you can find his work as he joins us every week.
I want your opinion on something else.
Okay.
That could happen Saturday night, which could be absolutely chaotic up in Columbus.
I live for chaos.
Something that could happen Saturday night that could be absolutely chaotic Saturday night, and I want your opinion on it.
All right. We'll discuss that and much more coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. There might be a new one of those with The Simpsons soon. After watching an episode last night, the third Treehouse of Horror, and Homer buys Bart a Krusty doll for his birthday that's evil and keeps trying to kill him.
As we've talked about, anything with Krusty is the best episode ever. Any of those.
And then they go, well, here's your problem. He was set to evil, and like flips him to good. And the Krusty's like, I love you. And then Homer has him like being his waiter, basically.
Oh my gosh. We're going to send Dr. Crane to Camp Krusty next year. You want to go?
No thanks.
Oh, come on. It's fun.
Oh, you can make some wallets.
Get tequila and everything. Out
I
there.
do like making those leather goods.
We'll take them to the happiest place on earth, Tijuana, Mexico.
Do you like gruel? They got plenty of gruel for you to have there. All right, boys, your opinion on this.
All right.
Saturday night, Tennessee takes on Ohio State and Columbus. Remember what happened after the Michigan-Ohio State game? Will that happen Saturday night if Tennessee wins? Or will Josh Heupel has talked to his team, say, don't do that? How do you stop the emotions of a guy planting? Because I'm telling you, if I'm on that team,
I don't think they would care as much.
I'm planting the flag. If I beat Ohio State and I play for Tennessee, I'm planting that flag.
I think Ohio State fans would probably be like, whatever, because they'll be, wanting to throw spears.
So you don't think there'd
point.
be any,
I mean, I'm sure there'd be some, yeah. I mean, there'd be
Ooh.
players that would take umbrage with that, but like, I can tell you this right now: if Tennessee goes to Columbus and wins that football game, which I believe they're going to do, I mean, does Ryan Day survive that?
No, there's no way.
Losing to Michigan and then losing a playoff game
There's no way
at home.
There's just no way. I mean, we talked to Ohio State fans are like, well, he should be gone now, and the fact they get the benefit of being in the playoff and able to kind of exercise some demons. And if you don't do that against Tennessee, you're done. I mean, how does he come back? I don't know the ins and outs of that program at all, but I know reading on the social medias that Ryan Day is not well liked. And that was the thing. Herb Street was like, this could turn bad for Ohio State teams if they get behind and the fans turn on the coach. I was like, do you want to be a part of that where your fan base turns on the coach? When I get it when he's 66 and 10 or 11, but you haven't beaten Michigan. I'm not part of that rivalry. I don't know. But looking outward in on it, I was like, man, I kind of see what you're talking about there. But I mean, there'll be 30, probably 40,000 Tennessee fans going up there, and the game's not sold out. According to College Football Nerds from this morning on Twitter, it's not sold out. SMU and Penn State, not even close to being sold out.
Which is sad, because I actually thought that people would be excited about playing these playoff games on campus. But as you pointed out, as we were talking about during the break, the kids are gone.
Yep.
They're on Christmas break.
Yeah.
And so what I don't want to see happen, and what I'm afraid might happen, is they don't get the crowds that they anticipated for these games, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, let's just do neutral sites for everything.
Yeah, the Indiana.
And then you eat up more, because then what you do is you can eat up 4 more bowl games, that you can turn into playoff
Yeah.
games.
Well, Indiana Notre Dame is sold out. It's been sold out. Tickets on the resale market are just astronomical. It's an in-state rivalry. Everybody. So if Penn State was playing like Pittsburgh, then yeah, you'd probably have that game sold out and it's convenient. Indiana, this is convenient. Now, Clemson, Texas, I mean, I don't know. I mean, pretty much Texas fans are going to fill that place up. I get all that. But interesting to see what ends up happening from SMU and Penn State. And I so want SMU to beat James Franklin. It'd be great.
Oh yeah,
It'd be great.
I mean, we actively root for that.
So you're not in favor of planting the flag?
No, I mean, I don't care. Like, again, I've said, if you don't want it planted, then win the game,
Right.
But at the same time, it's going to cause some unnecessary crap at the end of the game. So it's like, at that point,
Let's do it. Let's get it done, man.
But you love chaos, so.
Well, I mean, if I beat you, I'm going to make sure you know that
Yeah.
I beat you, and
I don't think Heupel will allow it.
I agree with you on that.
I think Heupel will tell them, if it's a point where you kind of know it's about to, like, they're going to win, he'll look at them on the sideline and be like, shake their hand, get off the field.
Like when Saban, when Bama beat Texas, and all the Bama players were doing the downward hook 'em horns, and Saban's just cursing at him on the field. Stop doing that stuff. I get it, but it'll be interesting to see Sunday night because it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all right. Both teams are cold. Not one team doesn't get an advantage. Be fine. It'll be fun to watch. I'll tell you what, a lot of TVs will be glued to that game on Saturday night.
Yeah. And what's interesting, you and I were talking about this too, that the NFL, I mean, I know they traditionally this time of year will put a couple of games on Saturday, but you got Houston, Kansas City, and Pittsburgh and Baltimore, which are two pretty good games that are going to be going up against playoff games.
Yeah, Houston, Kansas City's at noon. Pittsburgh and Baltimore's at 3:30 our time. So I don't know what games are going on at that time, but I know Tennessee's at 7. I don't know if Clemson, Texas is.
So you would have SMU, Penn State is at 11 our time. Clemson, Texas is at 3.
Okay.
So that it would overlap those. And then, as you mentioned, Tennessee, Ohio State.
What are you watching?
Oh, I'm going – I mean, I'm going to have 2 TVs set up. Like I'm watching – or I'm going to go to a bar where I can watch everything.
What game are you watching, man? Answer the question.
I'm watching both.
You can't. You got to pick one game. You have to watch one game, college or NFL.
I'm probably watching Kansas City, Houston, and then I'm watching Clemson, Texas.
I like it.
If you're making me pick.
I am.
But Pittsburgh, Baltimore is the better NFL game.
It is. It'd be like 16-10 Baltimore or Pittsburgh or whatever, something like that. Still fun. Be a fun day.
See, now here's an interesting conversation to have. You know, this year I think college football had the better product. So I would pick college football over the NFL. But there have been years that I'm probably in the minority that I prefer I've just always kind of preferred the pro game.
Yeah, but I can see that, especially now, late in the season like this.
Yeah.
But I think for the first ever playoff, it'll be fun. Also, which is great, the Preds are at 12:30.
Oh, that's right.
On Saturday.
That's right.
So thank you, schedulers, for giving that game at 12:30.
Yeah.
Because I'll keep an eye on that game too as well, Chase.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully at that point they're making it 3 in a row.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
For Tennessee fans, though, if you win that game, you know what awaits next. Now, it's not the opponent. It's the destination.
Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl, man.
Which we determined this would be what, second or third time probably they've been in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, 94, Peyton came in his first appearance in the Rose Bowl in 94.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, against UCLA at the Rose Bowl.
Was that
Daniel Lincoln?
Todd Helton?
Yes. It was Jerry Colquitt got hurt. Todd Helton got hurt. Brandon Stewart was doing terrible, and Peyton came in. And 4 quarterbacks. Daniel Lincoln was the kicker in 08 who missed the field goal versus UCLA. Remember, the Vols were ranked 3rd in the country.
Yeah.
And they lost to UCLA in 2008, which spiraled their season down. So they've been in the Rose Bowl before, but not playing the Rose Bowl, because the game next Saturday or next weekend is the Rose Bowl. It's a Rose Bowl game.
Right.
Be fun. I can see the old Cromwell jet firing up, us getting out there.
Get the propellers going. Let's bring Clay in real quick. Hello, Clay. What's up?
Morning, boys.
What's shaking?
Big Joe, I'm true to my word. You said call tomorrow, so I called.
You got to call at like 15:30, 45. You can't call when we're going to break.
No, it's fine.
Okay, Clay.
I'm trying to make up.
Boss man says it's okay, so it's okay.
I'm trying to make up for, a year and a half and not even knowing you're on the radio. You know what I mean?
Why was that? Where have you been?
I actually went into radio hiatus for like 6 or 8 months.
Why, are you being chased, attacked?
Hey, Plaster's on the radio too.
That's
He's
right.
94.9.
Big Joe, for old time's sakes, will you give me a little Jeff Fisher?
I would, my voice, because I've been sick for a while.
That might hurt.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I tell you what, you can listen to the George Plaster show from 3 to 5 on 94.9. Clay, we'd love to have you over there. Get some of that Martha White money.
It's going to be a great weekend, boys. A lot of college football, NFL football, a little college basketball. Pretty good when you're a sports junkie like me.
Now, Clay, are you going to Birmingham to support Vanderbilt football?
I will be present and accounted for in Birmingham, Joe.
Well, we will look you up then, or you look us up.
I'm actually going with my preacher, so no cussing allowed. I got to be on my best behavior.
Oh, good. You need some God in your life.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so now you know when to call. 15, 30, 45, not at 42.
All right.
All right, love you,
All
man.
right. See you, Clay. Appreciate it. Always enjoy Clay calling into the show.
Do we? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. We welcome everybody, anybody and everybody on this show.
But we've told him no snide Tracy Cornett remarks
Well, you keep bringing it up, so that's just going to remind him.
because he is an absolute stalker of her. And so
Coming up next, we'll tell you what day it is and celebrity birthdays. And you know what? Sorry, Dr. Crane, I'm doing this to you right now. Caller number. Tell me a number.
3.
Caller number 3, 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of tickets to see the Predators. I just lost it. The Predators and the Hurricanes Monday night at Bridgestone Arena. Caller number 3, 615-737-1025. You can win those tickets. Celebrity birthdays next. 1025, 1063 The Game. Don't miss tonight's Smashville Live at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. It all gets underway at 6 o'clock. Adam Wilsby, fresh off his first NHL goal, and Kevin Gravel will be the guests tonight. So come by and say hi to them. Also, Max Hers and Jay Moore at Brewhouse South down in Cool Springs at 6 o'clock. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3. The game here on this Wednesday. Been a packed show. Eli Drinkwitz, Steven Stamkos, John McClain.
Yeah.
You and me just, talking about stuff.
And Clay calling in. I mean, it's
Clay,
just packed.
Clay was great. Dr. Crane was great. It was a good job.
It's a great job.
With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays.
All right, Joe. And first on the list, we have Answer the Phone Like Buddy the Elf Day. Didn't know that was a thing.
On record,
Uh-huh.
Elf is one of the worst movies ever made.
Uh-oh.
It's not funny. It's stupid. It's not anything good. I'm on record, and I got people that'll back me on this. Elf is an awful movie.
You're upsetting a lot of people in the audience, Joe.
I'm not as big of a fan of it as a lot of people are.
Thank you. One on my side. That's
Yeah.
all I need.
I mean, it's not great. I mean,
It's not great. It's not funny. It's just stupid.
it's one of those TV shows or movies that you just turn on the TV and just have it on for background.
No, I turn the TV off. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Well, next we have is Arabic Language Day. So if you speak it, give it out to somebody.
There you
go. Baked Cookies Day is next, so you can bake some
Big Cookie.
cookies.
That's what I call David James, the producer. Big Cookie.
Okay, that's a good nickname.
It is, it's not.
Let's see.
There's David's nickname.
Flake Appreciation Day. So
Flake?
yeah, flake like a snowflake. It just shows a snowflake.
I know some flakes.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Like planning and stuff too. Yeah, they could do that. International Migrants Day. So
Okay.
National I Love Honey Day. Love me some honey. National
Bet you
Ham.
do.
Oh yes, yes indeed. National Ham Salad Day. Didn't know that.
Pass.
Pass.
Looks gross. Looks kind of like cotton candy. It's gross.
Ugh.
Let's see. National Roast Suckling Pig Day. So there's that. National Twin Day is next, and to wrap it all up, National Wear a Plunger on Your Head Day. What are these? days?
Whenever I hear you go, oh, I always get ready.
Oh, my goodness. Wear a plunger on your head. There's got to be something behind that, right?
Maybe.
We'll figure that out. All right, time for celebrity birthdays, America's favorite game. You have to get these birthdays within 2 years on either side. First birthday, Chase McCabe. Keith Richards. How old is Keith Richards?
84.
77.
81. You got to split that one down the middle. 81, Keith Richards. Next up is the great, talented Steven Spielberg. Favorite Steven Spielberg movie? E.T.
Yeah, probably. Or Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, let's keep going on and on. You're right.
75.
81.
78. Oh, guys. Brad Pitt, who I've always thought was a terrible actor, but he turned me around with the one he won the Oscar for in the Hollywood movie, whatever that was called. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, whatever it was. That's a good movie.
He's got good movies. Brad Pitt is 57.
58.
61.
Is he really?
Fury's a hell of a movie, but the tank, good movie.
I just watched a movie he did with George Clooney, The Wolves. It's on Netflix,
Pretty good.
I think. Yeah, it was
It's
pretty
all
good.
right.
It was pretty good.
Actress Katie Holmes. How old is Katie Holmes?
47.
43.
46. Chaser knows his Tom Cruise ex-wives. Christina Aguilera.
What was that?
That's how she always ends her songs.
Thought that was you turning on the cold shower.
Thanks.
44.
48.
44 exactly. Chaser knows his O-Town people. Billie Eilish. Today's her birthday.
22.
25.
23. Chaser up in a row now. 4-0. All right. Comedian Ron White.
Oh, love Ron. 63.
68.
68 exactly. It's 4-2
really?
now. Yeah.
Wow.
Chase, if you don't get this one,
I hate it when you say this. 'cause you
Wrestler, actor, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
60.
62.
60 exactly. Chaser up 60. That's why I tell you that, man.
And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Actor Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers, one of the best, worst movies of all time. He's the lead actor in that.
By the way, knowing that Stone Cold is 60 years old makes me feel old.
Okay.
Whoever you just said, I'm
Casper Van Dien.
Starship Troopers.
He's the lead guy in that movie, yeah.
58.
62.
52. Chase, you should get this one. Friend of the show. Country singer Cowboy Troy.
Oh boy.
There's
if you know, you know. And whatnot.
Don't conversate too long on this.
Cowboy Troy. 48.
43.
54. Singer Sia?
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 Sia? I don't know.
Sia?
30.
28.
49.
Oh.
Huh? Okay. 3 more here. Chase up 6-2. Charles Oakley. Former NBA player. Tough guy. Charles Oakley.
62.
68.
61. Chase up 7-2. With that, he clears the victory. 2 left. Former Vanderbilt assistant coach, UCLA head coach Carl Durrell.
Carl Durrell, 57.
52.
61. Finally, the last one, Jaden Daniels. Heisman Trophy winner, Washington Commanders quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
24.
25.
Chase McCabe, 24 exactly, wins 9-2.
I needed that.
He was on a tear.
He was. Felt good. I mean, started out slow, but he took it over. Proud of you, Chase.
Thank you very much. That will do it for us.
Hey, as we end every show, to our guys out there, is our message all the time. We love you, and if something's going wrong, you're struggling, on your cell phone, you can dial 988. You can call us. You can text that number. Call that number, 988. Somebody's always there to talk to you. We are always here to talk to you. Before you do anything, please talk to somebody. Know that we love you, and more importantly, God loves you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. Don't you go anywhere because D-Mace, Vengen, and Donick is coming up next here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.